Hey friend, you are listening to The Discerning Mother. This is for the woman of faith who wants to feel calm, grounded, and whole again without pretending that everything is fine. In these episodes, you will learn to understand your body, your nervous system, and the stories that you carry so you can become the woman that God had in mind. All right, let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome back. So today is going to be kind of a little bit of a different style podcast. We're talking about money. I want to talk about it because if we don't talk about it, it's never going to get any better. So many of us desire support, and yet when it comes to getting support, we are so afraid of giving up our hard-earned money in order to get that support. Or we think this support needs to come from the insurance company, right? Like the insurance company can pay for it. Like we're already paying insurance, they should pay for it. How often have you found yourself saying, oh, insurance will just take care of it, whether that be a hospital bill, therapy bill, whatever. And you show up for it, but you are not nearly as invested if you were paying cash out of pocket for it. And I can tell you that for a fact because I have been working with women for a long time, especially around the birth world. And those who go in and just say, oh, I have this insurance, so therefore I'm going to just do the hospital birth. It never usually turns out the way that they want for a variety of reasons. It's not necessarily that they weren't invested in getting what they wanted, but it's just that it wasn't set up for them. And there's a different level of intention with that. And that's just, it is what it is. Versus the person who maybe scraped and saved and said, I'm going to get this home birth because I want this home birth because I know that this is important to me and it's going to cost my family a lot. But guess what? We only have our health. We're only going to give birth a handful of times. And so that person scrapes and they save. And guess what? They do every single thing from the book. They do what their midwife tells them. They take the teas, they exercise, they do all the things. And again, not at all saying that the woman who's giving birth in the hospital doesn't do those things. There's just a different level of investment when you have shelled out, say, $5,000 cash to a midwife, and you want to make sure that that cash goes a long way. Versus if you maybe have a $1,000 or $1,500 deductible. It's just a different level of investment. And that, it is what it is. Okay. It's just numbers, quantitative. And so there's this idea that if we invest, or that if we don't invest rather, then therefore I can't be responsible if something goes wrong, or I can't be responsible if I don't actually do the work. Okay. And so we're challenging you with that right now but it's also time for us to look at what it means that we need to support our family. And I'm not saying that we need to support our family to like have the designer bags or like fly first class or anything like that. I'm talking like we deserve to be able to afford the organic ground beef, right? Just like you do. We deserve to be compensated for the thousands of hours that we have put into our studies. I was actually speaking with another friend. She has a PhD. And she was like, Brigid, everything shifted whenever you told me. This was like 2 years ago. She was like, everything shifted when you told me how much time and energy and sacrifice did it take you to get your PhD? Like, and how much is that worth for you? That time away from your kids, the monetary value, the loans that you had afterwards. She worked really hard. She paid her dues. And so therefore she's really good at what she does. And so she should be paid as somebody who is really good at what she does. Now that does not at all mean that she is not generous, that she is not kind, that she does not support people. But what that does mean is that if you can support her monetarily, then you have that obligation to, if you want to engage in services with her. Okay. And so I get it. Things are expensive, but guess what? We only are going to prioritize what we are showing up and paying for. And we really have to get out of our mindset of like, this is expensive, because that is so relative. Like we were talking with my son a few weeks ago and he was like, is $70 a lot? And we were like, well, it depends. What are you buying? If you're buying a house, no, it's like super cheap. But if you're buying maybe like a pencil that's just like a regular pine pencil, then yeah, that's probably not worth that much. And so we have to get out of the mindset of like, is this expensive? And we have to shift into the mindset of like, how much am I valuing this? And I've had this conversation countless times with women where it's like, Brigid, I know that I need your support. I know that I need to join your program, but I'm so scared to spend the money. And I get it. Like I've been there too. And now being on the other side, when I've just invested $30,000, $50,000 into coaching myself, I can see how scary it is to make those first big investments, even if it's only $2,500. But by making that investment, you're investing in yourself. And that is the best investment that you can ever do, because that's the only investment that you can guarantee. You can only guarantee what you're going to do. So I can't personally guarantee that my program is going to work for you, but you can guarantee that if you put in the work and that if you do the work, then you're going to be a different person by the end of it. And so many of us don't have that mentality. So many of us have this mentality of like, oh, I'll show up if it like fits my life. And like you fit it into your life instead of making those big radical changes to make it transform your life. And the other thing with that too is that, again, that the paradox of like, and I mentioned this a little earlier, but the paradox of like, we say that we want support, but then we resist that support. Okay. So the pattern that we're seeing over and over again is women say like, I wish that I had more support. I wish I had the village. I wish somebody would help me. Right. But when there's that opportunity for like that support, whether it be coaching with me or doing this workshop or whatever, hesitation shows up. And so what happens is that when you say like, okay, here's the support, but you might have to give up some resources for it, immediately your brain goes into that resource hoarding and it's like, no, I can't give up resources. So instead you stay stuck and you stay miserable. I was literally just talking with a client about this yesterday. And actually, let me pull up her notes because what she said was like so profound and so, amazing. So what she was saying is, let's see. So the lie that she's been telling herself is that she is suffering at the expense of her desires because that is what will get her to heaven. And not only just that, but she's telling herself that she has to suffer by herself. So what we did is we actually went to Catholic Answers and we looked up like, what is suffering? Went to Magisterium AI and was like, what is suffering? And what's so interesting is that while the Bible talks about suffering, obviously, the Bible talks more about joy. And so we were flipping the lie that she was telling herself on the head of like suffering and being the martyr is what will get her to heaven. We flipped that on its head and said, instead, I am called to be joyful. And that is what will get me to heaven. And I'm doing something beautiful for God. That doesn't mean that like my life is picture perfect or that everything's going to go well. That means that I am carrying this cross with Jesus well. And I'm not going to be in this martyrdom mentality of like, woe is me, I'm giving everything up for you. Because no, that is not what God wants. Jesus showed us this in the Bible. Like he gave himself up for us. But what did he do before that? He laughed, he celebrated, he danced. He had a good life, right? And that is what God is calling us to. But so many women, and I was there myself for a while, see this as like, no, we need to be the martyr. We need to be the one to suffer. And again, that's not the point. Yes, God wants you to carry your cross and be that Simon of Cyrene who's helping him carry the cross. But again, it's helping him carry the cross. It's not you taking everything upon yourself and being that martyr. Okay. The other thing with that too is like receiving support is vulnerable. It means that you're not perfect. It means that you need support. It means admitting that you cannot carry everything alone. And guess what? That is what it means to be a human, is we cannot carry everything alone. We need to rely on Jesus, right? We need to rely on our community. And sometimes that means giving resources away. And again, we have no problem giving away a meal to somebody who just had a baby. But to give away $50 to somebody to host a workshop that will like literally change your life, you're like, nope, I can't do that. So we have this weird mentality around money, when in reality, money is just a tool that we are exchanging back and forth. And again, it took me a long time to get through this stuff, but now this is what I do with a lot of women because it's so, so important. And until you can get through this, it's just going to keep you stuck and you're never going to be able to up level and like really trust that God is the one providing and that he wants you to invest in yourself, because when you invest in yourself, you are going to be a better person. That's just the way that it is. That's literally how it works. And one thing with this too is like most modern women, like even we attend a traditional Latin mass. It still is like pervasive in the world. And even somewhat in that culture too, where it's like you are told to be independent, but then also to somehow do everything perfectly. Okay. And again, that's just not how it works. Because historically, women raised children inside of tight communities with their mothers, their sisters, their grandmothers, their neighbors. And yet the modern woman, even if she doesn't own a business or work, is expected to do the same exact work as those communities would do, but without having any relational support. And so again, we say that we want the village, but we've forgotten how to receive the village. And again, sometimes that village, especially nowadays, is not going to show up as like your mom or your grandma or your sisters or your friends coming over. That village can be that you pay for support, and that's okay. I was working with another client. She has 9 children. And we were really talking about like, what does she need to do to get off her things off her plate? Because she homeschools these 9 kids. And she's like, I really need somebody to help me clean my house, but I don't want to pay for it because I'm fully capable of cleaning my house. And it's like, yeah, you're totally capable of cleaning your house. But what's a better investment of your time? Sitting on your couch, reading books to your kids, or cleaning your house? And I remember the text that she sent me, and she was like, my house is getting cleaned right now, and it's like the best $250 I've ever spent. Because guess what? It gave her back that time with her kids. Because all of us say that we want to have all of this time, but then we're not actually doing anything to help us use our time well. Time is the only thing in life that you cannot create more of. You can create more money easily. Even if you don't have a traditional job, even if you are a stay-at-home mom, you can go out and you can figure out a way to create more money. That is possible. But you cannot, no matter what you do, no matter who you are, you cannot create more time. And so by us staying in this like, woe is me, everything's terrible, that's sucking that time away that God has given you with your family, your spouse, your kids, your business, whatever, before you hopefully can get to heaven. And so I actually asked a client this last night, I was like, would you be happy looking back in 50 years if you lived the next 50 years like you lived the last 7 days? And immediately, like without even thinking, she was like, nope. Okay. And so it's like, then we need to change that. And for her, it's like paying to get support and me being like the kick in the butt and be like, come on, you got to do this stuff. Because otherwise she wouldn't. She'd just stay on that cycle. Maybe it's doing the workshop. Maybe it's paying for the thing, right? And now I want to shift gears just a little bit into, this is a deeper issue because this goes back so many years. And I'm no historian or anything, but I do want to touch on the medical model conversation a little bit because this really has affected how we think as women. So let's talk a little bit about all of this here. So women have been slowly trained to believe that somebody else understands their bodies and their minds better than they do. And it is very subtle. It is somewhat intentional, depending on who you're getting it from. But culturally, institutionally, medically, that shift has happened. From the beginning of time, that shift has just kept moving, right? But right now, more than ever, it's almost harder sometimes because now we're being told that women can't be women. We have to be little men. And circling back to the beginning, take on everything on ourselves and take care of it without any support. And that's just not realistic. Okay. So let's just go back let's just go back like 100 years. About 100 years ago, birth, fertility, women's health, they were like primarily lived inside of community. So for example, in 1990-ish, 1990 wasn't that long ago, 1900s, the majority of babies were born at home. Birth was just something that happened. Being pregnant was just something that happened. Like it wasn't this big dramatic thing. It was mostly attended by the neighbors, right? Or maybe a community midwife or moms, sisters, aunts, neighbors, just women who had walked this road before, right? But by the middle of about the 20th century, birth had almost completely moved into hospitals. It happened so fast. And today, over 98% of births in the US are happening in hospitals under physician management. And again, this is not saying that doctors are bad, because obviously medical care does save lives. But what happened in that shifting process of going from that autonomous, like, this is just birth, this is what women do. Sometimes they need support, but most of the time, things go pretty well. And we have now shifted into this, the authority has moved from the woman to the institution or to somebody else. And again, it's been so subtle that it's like crazy that it's hard for us to even see that it has happened, but it has happened. So instead of women being the authority over their bodies, and again, I know I'm glossing over like all of the like how women weren't allowed to vote or women weren't allowed to own land. I know I'm glossing over that. I'm trying to stick with like somewhat what I know more about in like recent history. And so medical care shifted into somebody else's authority. It's not for a long time. I will tell you when it's time. And so now, when a woman is pregnant, the first instinct is not to like look inward and think, what do I do about this? Right? Or like, wow, like I'm doing this. It's to look outward. Like, what does the doctor say? What's the test say? What does the blood work say? What's the chart say? And gradually, without even realizing it, women begin to distrust their own intuition. And you see the same thing in every stage of life, like fertility clinics, even though you probably just need to eat and not be so stressed. Birthing in the hospital, infant sleep consultants, strict schedules and protocols. I am doing something. I will get you tea in a little bit. It's quiet time. You just woke up, Hugo. And again, none of these things are inherently bad. They're so helpful. But what it is the way that they've gone about things is so different. Because an infant sleep consultant used to just be the mom who had 10 kids who could help you out a little bit. And you might pay her with like a loaf of bread or something, right? And so we have replaced wisdom and relationship with systems and management. And the results are actually not better. The United States spends more on maternity care, more on supporting women than almost any other country in the world. And yet, you can just look at our maternal mortality rate. It's terrible. It's among the highest in developed nations. Or even just look at the satisfaction of women. Last year, I remember I wrote a little thing about a study on how women are inherently dissatisfied with their life. And it's not because anybody has done anything bad. It's just because they feel like they're not worthy, right? And so this is where theology, So the question then is, if we have more expertise, more technology, more specialists, why do women feel so overwhelmed and less confident in themselves? And then we can touch on the theology of it too, because Catholic theology teaches that the human person is a machine not to be managed. The human person is a unity of body and soul. And the body is not an inconvenience. And getting support for the body is not an inconvenience. It's our job to support our body, right? We read about this in Theology of the Body. The body reveals the person. The body speaks a language. And yet so many women are not supporting their bodies. And they feel ashamed that they might even need support in supporting their bodies. Okay. And so again, modern culture trains a woman to mistrust their design, to ignore the possibility for help. Again, this is why so many feel disconnected. So many. And this is why, if you've been following for a while, you know that I do so much with birth. You may have noticed the content shifting a little bit. I'll touch more on that in the next episode. But then basically all of this had led me into more nervous system work, because what I discovered is that if a woman's nervous system does not feel safe, she's going to struggle to access that wisdom that's already inside of her. Your body will shut down. Your intuition will go quiet. Like, you won't be able to hear God. Everything feels overwhelming. Okay. And so like right now, to kind of circle things back, why do women feel so powerless? Why are we so anxious and overwhelmed? Why does it feel like everything is so hard? It's because we're trying to do everything on our own, and we're afraid to accept help. And we're afraid that if we give hard-earned resources, our husbands are going to get angry. We could use that resources for something better, that we shouldn't even need that support. We should just be okay. That if I need support, then that means I don't enjoy motherhood. That if we need support, then that means that I'm not strong enough. But in reality, you don't just need the information. You can find that online. You can find it on Instagram, even like all the AI stuff nowadays. You need a place where you can be seen, heard, guided, rebuild that trust in yourself, learn to receive support again. But that's not going to come for free. You have to invest in that, because you are investing in yourself. You are saying to the women who are leading these rooms, like, thank you. Thank you for doing the work and guiding me into this work on my own. Eventually, women are going to stop wanting to support other women, because yes, they can see that it's valuable and it's so beautiful to support other women, but it's also so tiring if you're constantly giving of yourself and you never receive in return. And again, it doesn't have to necessarily be monetary. It can just be sharing the giveaway post. It can be, no, I'm all done. It can be anything like that, okay? And so I really want to end with a little tease of an announcement. And again, if you've been following along over the last few years, I have watched this pattern over and over again. Women who want peace, but whose bodies feel stuck in this urgency and this survival. And because of that, something new is coming, and I cannot wait to share it with you. And just remember, women were never meant to carry the weight of this world alone. But before we can rebuild the village, we have to remember how to receive the village. See you next time.